PR Connections Radio presents.
Welcome to Vegas Hockey Hub here on PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. I'm your host, Ian Rachiele, and on this edition of Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, we are going to be breaking down what just happened very recently with your Vegas Golden Knights, and this is going to be a really interesting episode as this game did not go what we expected it to do. In fact, there was a lot of ups and downs that we are going to be talking about. And there's a lot of stuff that we are going to be mentioning and talking about on this episode. So on Vegas Hockey Hub Recap, we are going to be kicking it up a notch, and we're going to be discussing what just happened on this last reoccurring matchup and on this episode of Vegas Hockey Hub. Now, go to PRConnectionsRadio.com, the voice of new media. Check out all the content we have on the network. We have about a dozen shows on the platform, including Vegas Hockey Hub. So my recommendation, go to Vegas Hockey Hub, go to the social media pages, or go to the www.prconnectionsradio.com and check out all the amazing content we have on the network, including Vegas Hockey Hub. If you also want to follow your host, I'm also down there as well on social media at Ian J. Rachiele. So what happened here between these two matchups are really fascinating, because you have a situation where at this current moment in time, you have one team that is down the dumps, one team that looks like they pretty much know what their future is, they know what their future is being set, and then you have another team who's really trying to figure out what their next month is going to look like. Now, getting into the rest of the NHL, me being a Vegas Golden Knights fan, I do have to mention this because it does bring a smile to my face. The San Jose Sharks being eliminated from the Stanley Cup playoffs. What a great sight to see. Obviously, anyone who knows the history between the San Jose Sharks and the Vegas Golden Knights, the Sharks essentially eliminated the Vegas Golden Knights not once but twice from the Stanley Cup playoffs in the past couple of years. So anytime you can see the San Jose Sharks organization being eliminated and not being able to compete for the playoffs, that does put a little bit of a smile on my face. So for the San Jose Sharks, them being eliminated from the Stanley Cup playoffs, there's going to be a team that's going to be battling for a top draft pick. There's going to be a San Jose Sharks organization where Mike Greer and David Quinn and all the people that are part of the San Jose Sharks organization, they're going to have to continue this rebuild for next year, but they did get eliminated. And getting into the pre-game notes and talking about what happened in practice, Brendan Brisson has been sent down to Henderson. So Brendan Brisson, he was called up a while ago. He was in the starting lineup in the NHL playing for the Vegas Golden Knights. Him being sent down to Henderson to the AHL. And it kind of feels like that's been the trend this season. Brendan Brisson and Jonas Roundbeer have kind of been the two guys that have been going up and going down between the NHL and the AHL this season. And Brendan Brisson, he has really progressed and evolved in 2023, 2024. And, when it comes to roster spots and everything that's going on, that's the main reason why he gets sent down. You also have to consider the fact that him being on an entry-level deal and the whole waiver exemption thing, that's going to be one of the main reasons why they are able to have him come and go between the Vegas Golden Knights organization. Another note that came out was that William Carrier would be cleared to return. So William Carrier, your fourth-line winger, this has been a guy who's been dealing with injuries all season long, and him being cleared to return and play for the Golden Knights organization. And it'll be curious to see how he does, because we know the chemistry between Carrier, Waugh, and Kolazar. And by the way, we will go for the starting lineup in just a little bit. But this fourth line is really fascinating when you break down who is on it and what the lines looked like in today's matchup. So, William Carrier, obviously, we hope that when he comes back from injury, he'll be at full 100%, because he has been a misfit. He's been an original guy. So for someone like William Carrier to be part of the roster, that is a valuable asset to the Golden Knights organization. So yeah, William Carrier cleared to return to the Vegas Golden Knights, going to be in the starting lineup. Now, in net for the Vegas Golden Knights would be Adin Hill. And Adin Hill, this is somebody who the last month and a half, he has had his good moments, he has had his down moments, but Adin Hill looks like he has been the starting goaltender for your Vegas Golden Knights. This is going to be someone who, when it comes to about a month from now, you might see him being the guy here in Vegas. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens between him and Logan Thompson. But Adin Hill being in net, suiting up, being in between the pipes for your Vegas Golden Knights. And Adin Hill, going to be really curious to see how he performs in this game and how he performs between everybody that is in this lineup. Now, getting into that said starting lineup, because that Adin Hill is in net. We just talked about that. He's going to be starting for the Vegas Golden Knights as your goaltender. But the rest of the team is really fascinating. As your defensive pairings, you have Nick Hague and Zach Whitecloud, Noah Hannafin and Alex Petrangelo, Brayden McNabb, and Shea Theodore. That will be your defensive pairings for the Vegas Golden Knights. And then for the forwards for the Vegas Golden Knights organization, you have Ivan Barbashev, Jack Eichel, and Jonathan Marchessault. Then you have the line of Michael Amadio, Pavel Dorofeev, and Brett Howden. And then on the third line, and then on the other line, you have William Karlsson, Anthony Mantha, and Chandler Stevenson. And then that fourth line, William Carrier coming back, him being with Kolizar and Watt. And, I really like this lineup. It's going to take a while to develop the chemistry, obviously. But overall, when you really study the starting lineup, that first line of Barbashev, Eichel, and Marchessault, they have been your steady rock throughout the entire season. Then your second line, you have the addition of Anthony Mantha, and then Chandler Stevenson and William Karlsson kind of teaming up together. Something you don't see that often throughout the Golden Knights history. They both normally play the center position. And then on the third line, having Dorofeev team up with Howden and Amadio to be on that third line. And then you have your stable rock on the fourth line with Carrier, Kolizar, and Watt. So, the starting lineup, it is going to be a situation where when you really look at the starting lineup for your Vegas Golden Knights, there's going to be some moves that are going to be made around. And trust me, we know that Tomas Hertl is eventually going to come back. We know Mark Stone is eventually going to come back. So there's going to be some players who are going to be moved around. Michael Amadio, guys like Pavel Dorofeev, Brett Howden, there's a possibility of those guys being swapped in and out. That's going to be really interesting. Paul Cotter, he's not in the starting lineup, but he is still available. Giannis Raumbier, him coming up from the AHL, NHL, that's a possibility. Sheldon Rempel, that is going to be someone that they've been calling up and down. Mason Morelli at the beginning of the year, he was someone who played a select amount of games. So in actuality, when you really look at what happened here, this starting lineup is going to make a lot of changes. There's going to be some roster moves about a month from now. And this starting lineup is not even going to look similar to what it is in here. But let's just keep it at a simple notice. The first line is going to stay the same. I think Barbashev, Eichel, and Marchessault, that's going to be steady. Your fourth line, as long as Carrier continues to be healthy and doesn't get hurt again, it should be Carrier, Watt, and Kolizar. But it's just that middle six that has a lot of question marks about who's going to be there to start this out. Now, getting into the game and actually breaking down what this was, the Calgary Flames, by the way, were wearing their black and red uniforms, playing at home at the Saddle Dome in Calgary. I just wanted to point that out as a nice little touch in this game. But in the first period, there was not much action except for 2 penalties in this game. Anthony Mantha had a hooking penalty. He goes to the box, and the Vegas Golden Knights would kill off the penalty. So 1-for-1 on the penalty kill for the Vegas Golden Knights organization. And then about halfway into the first period, there would be a too many men on the ice penalty for the Calgary Flames. They would have to send somebody to the penalty box, and the Vegas Golden Knights would be on the power play for the first time in this game. And even though Jack Eichel had a really good opportunity to put it in the back of the net, it just went wide. It did not get past Dustin Wolf, and the Vegas Golden Knights would stay at 0-0 at the end of the first period. Now, Mikael Backlund, he also had a really good opportunity in the first period to get it past Adin Hill, and it just went wide and did not score for Calgary. So at the end of the first period, it was a 0-0 performance, and Calgary and Vegas, they played a solid 20 minutes of play, and at the end of the first period, it's, like I said, 0-0. There's nothing on the board yet. So getting into the second period of this game, and kind of setting the same tone, Blake Coleman, in the beginning of the second period, there was a shot that just went too high and just did not go where it needed to go. Otherwise, it would have been a goal for Calgary. And for the Vegas Golden Knights, there was a shot from William Karlsson about halfway into the second period that if it had had a little more oomph to it, it would have actually gone in, but it was just shot too low, and Dustin Wolf made the save. So in the second period, there was a tripping penalty against Jonathan Huberdeau, and the Calgary Flames would get put in the penalty box once again. So for the second time in the game, your Vegas Golden Knights would be on the power play, and unfortunately, the Golden Knights would not execute here, and they would go down, and it would be a 0-0 game still at the end of the second period. But that was until you had an unlikely player score a goal, his first goal of the season for the Vegas Golden Knights, and that would be Anthony Mantha. So Anthony Mantha, 21st goal of the season. He scored 20 with Washington, so his first as a Golden Knight. About 2 minutes left in the second period, assisted by Shea Theodore, and it would be a 1-0 game at the end of the second period where your Vegas Golden Knights would be up in this situation. And, I find it just really interesting and actually very curious, the fact that you have a Vegas Golden Knights organization that you study and you really look at the middle six, what they've been trying to build. It's very obvious that that's what the intention is at the trade deadline, getting Mantha, getting Hurdle. The Vegas Golden Knights want to build up that middle six. And having a guy like him who's a defensive-minded forward, that helps out the Golden Knights there. So at the end of the first period, it was 0-0. At the end of the second period, it is 1-0. Your Vegas Golden Knights. So getting into the third period of this game between Calgary and Vegas, and this would actually start out on a negative note with your Vegas Golden Knights. As about 2 minutes into this period, Nick Hague would get an interference penalty against Nazem Kadri, and he would actually go to the penalty box, and the Vegas Golden Knights would kill this off. So the good news for Vegas, they went 2 for 2 on the penalty kill today. However, the momentum for Calgary would become in their favor about a minute later as Igor Sharangovich scored his 28th goal of the season, assisted by Dryden Hunt, and it would be a 1-1 game with Calgary. So you'd have the Calgary Flames, Vegas Golden Knights, and they'd be tied at 1-1 about 4 minutes into the third period. And for Sharangovich, this is a former New Jersey Devil. They acquired him in the Tyler Toffoli swap. And, 28 goals on the year, solid job by him. And this is just a situation where Calgary ties it up at 1. But you could feel the momentum at the Saddle Dome was really starting to turn in the Calgary Flames' favor. And just a few minutes later, it would be solidified with the Vegas Golden Knights being down by 1 as halfway into the third period, Blake Coleman, 27th goal of the season, assisted by Nazem Kadri, who got the interference call for Calgary earlier in the same period. And it would be a 2-1 game for Calgary. And Blake Coleman, he has been someone who actually did very well against Vegas the last time Calgary faced the Vegas Golden Knights back in January. And, Nazem Kadri, he is someone who has kind of been a menace to most people throughout his entire career. Toronto, Colorado, Calgary, you name it. So Coleman and Kadri, that made it a 2-1 game for the Flames over your Vegas Golden Knights. But it would end up getting worse and worse for the Golden Knights organization, as about 4 minutes later after the Blake Coleman goal, Matt Coronado, a former first-round pick with the Calgary Flames organization, picking up his second goal of the season and with his second assist of the game, Dryden Hunt. And just like that, Coronado opens up the lead, gets it to a 2-goal lead for Calgary. It would just be a 3-1 game between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Calgary Flames. And, it just really seemed like the momentum was in full swing with Calgary, that this was going to be a situation where the Vegas Golden Knights could not stop the Calgary Flames at this moment in time. And to really establish this, with about 2 minutes left in the third period for his second goal of the game, Blake Coleman, his 28th of the season, assisted by Andrew Mangiapane and Mikael Backlund. And it would be a 4-1 win for Calgary over Vegas. And very unfortunate for the Golden Knights for this to end up being what that was. Now, your Vegas Golden Knights 0-3 on the power play. That is not good. Very struggling. It was very lackadaisical on the power play with the Vegas Golden Knights. So despite the fact that they went 2 for 2 on the penalty kill, which I appreciate, the power play just did not do what needed to be done. Outside of a few shooting opportunities from guys like Eichel, Carlson, Barbashev, everyone else seemed like there really wasn't a lot of opportunities in this game for the Vegas Golden Knights to eventually win. So, when you really sit here and analyze this game and look back on it after a while, it makes a lot of sense that the Vegas Golden Knights did not win this game because of their lack of success on the power play. Now, getting into the win-loss record with your Vegas Golden Knights, you see it on the screen here. You should still be a playoff team. I mean, at this point in time, you're still going to be around the third seed or wild card in the Pacific Division. And it's just going to really depend on what happens with the Golden Knights moving forward. But there is a good chance that they will face an Edmonton or they'll face a Vancouver in the first round. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens in the future. Like I said, we got about a month left of this. So it'll be really curious to see what happens between the Vegas Golden Knights here and for the rest of the month. Player of the game, he was the only person who scored a goal in this game. So by default, Anthony Mantha would be player of the game. This is someone who they did acquire at the trade deadline, and he has proven some value to Vegas, but we're going to have to wait and see what he does for the remainder of the season. I have to give props, by the way, to Dustin Wolf. Now, Dustin Wolf, he was the goaltender in the game tonight for the Calgary Flames. I saw him in the AHL, actually, when the Stockton Heat took on the Henderson Silver Knights a while back. I saw Dustin Wolf. He's an AHL All-Star, one of the best goalies in the AHL. So him getting an opportunity, that was fantastic for him. I also got to point out the fact that you had two former Golden Knights on defense in Calgary. You had Daniil Myromanov and Braden Bahal, and they both played meaningful minutes tonight for Calgary against the Vegas Golden Knights organization. Now, what is next for the Vegas Golden Knights? All right, what is the next, good scenario? Well, you have to look at what their upcoming matchups are going to be. So you have the New Jersey Devils, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Seattle Kraken, and the Columbus Blue Jackets on a 4-game homestand. Okay? And on this four-game homestand, you are going to have the T-Mobile Arena. You're going to have the Fortress and everyone rocking and tearing the house down, trying to get the Golden Knights to continue to win and add points to this season. Now, the team stats and everything that is going on there, very interesting. Let's see what the team stats were between Vegas and Calgary as we get towards the end of the show here. Now, the Vegas Golden Knights were outshot 37-29, but they had one more hit than Calgary did, 20-19. At the faceoff circle, it was actually a dead even split. Vegas 51, Calgary 49, so that's pretty much near dead even. On the power play, Calgary was 0 for 2, and Vegas was 0 for 3, so no power play goals in this game. You also had 2 penalties for Vegas and 3 for Calgary. Now, the blocked shots in this game, it was not even a contest. Calgary had 11 more blocked shots than Vegas did. And in the takeaway column, the Vegas Golden Knights had 15 takeaways, and despite Calgary only having 7. So even though the Vegas Golden Knights had double the takeaways that Calgary did, Calgary still found a way to win. So until the next time that we are here on Vegas Hockey Hub, I know that we're going to be doing a video breaking down. We're going to be doing a video breaking down some Vegas Golden Knights content, everything here on Vegas Hockey Hub. But until next time, I'm your host Ian Rachiele, and this was Vegas Hockey Hub. I'm your host Ian Rachiele, and until next time, continue watching hockey. Go support junior hockey, and go Knights, go.